Yo, welcome to my channel Ward Draws a Lot. Obviously I'm Ward, or I wouldn't have named it Ward Draws a Lot. So for my last video, I finished my Ohuhu sketchbook, and now it's time for me to start a new one. This time I decided to use the Copic sketchbook. I don't know if there's anything specific to it, but it's called the Copic Paper Selections. I really wanted to see if there was actually any difference between this kind of paper or something like the Ohuhu sketchbook, where both are marker pads or / marker paper, but do they have any real differences between each other besides the price? Regardless, I'm really excited to use it, and I've had this sitting in my little art, not cabinet, but rack for like a few months now in hopes to use it, so yeah, here we go. Okay, so there's two different types of the sketchbook. There's the large and the small. I got the large, which is 9 by 12, and it has 30 sheets and 157 GSM, or 40 pounds in conversion, which just means that the paper is a little bit thicker, which it should be thicker and smooth if you're using markers, just for the fact that it holds the ink better and can blend much easier on that paper. I did skip the first page because the first page was just like a cover sheet, so I'm guessing that like any marker ink or whatever doesn't transfer onto the book itself. And then I went to the second page and I started sketching from there. So in order to reduce the idea of what am I going to do for the first page, I did this time what I did last time, which is draw my OC Nikki. Since I've had him for so long and I'm comfortable with how I draw him, it takes away the stress of what should I do for the first page / will it look good or whatever. Since it is my OC, I believe he looks good regardless. So because this paper was a lot larger, I felt like I definitely had some more breathing room for when it comes to poses, because I usually draw very big, so the bigger paper helps compensate me drawing bodies or poses using the body in general, which is something that my last sketchbook, since it was square and smaller, I think it was an 8 by 8 or something like that, it was harder for me to draw full poses in, jeez man. But it was much easier to take a photo of the drawing from the Ohuhu sketchbook because it was so small and square compared to this, which is bigger, so I have to kind of compensate for where the image sits on the paper so I could get a good photo of it for when I post it onto like Instagram or anywhere else. Anyway, those are both things that I have to compensate for myself. It's not really the sketchbook's fault because it comes in that size and it comes in smaller, so that's not really the issue. The issue is just my brain doesn't know how to downscale. Okay, so to talk about the drawing, I decided to do Nikki sitting on like a box, square thing, whatever, trying to give us like a pose, with scrunching up one part of his leg and the other one laying flat on the ground. I did mess up the proportions of everything along with how the box sits, but it's okay. I honestly don't mind it too much. I'm still practicing poses myself, so I can't beat on myself too hard because I am in the process of getting better, and I think we should all kind of keep that in mind, that if we're practicing at something, we shouldn't beat ourselves up too hard for it because we're in the process of getting there. Okay, so for sketching, I used the Pilot Color Eno mechanical pencil in red. I don't think there's any specific name besides red, and it went down on the paper really nice and smooth. Same thing with my liners. I did use Copic liners in specific, in case anyone wanted to know. Now, when it came to coloring on the paper, it went down ridiculously smooth. I really like how well the colors blended on the paper and how it didn't take up a lot of ink in order to blend these colors, so this paper really held the ink in place where you needed it to be and shifted in accordance. A great thing about this paper too is that it's like really bright white, and you want your paper really white when it comes to markers because you want the colors to pop out really well, and that's exactly what these colors did. They popped out really well. In fact, I think there was something with this paper that made the markers look like their true color form, if that makes any sense. Like, the colors weren't dulled out in any way, shape, or form from the paper, or it didn't look spotty and it didn't look messy. There was almost no, I really think there was no bleeding through the lines, unless it was my error of coloring outside the line, because I do that. I color too fast sometimes and it just ends up out of the lines. But besides that point, I really don't think there was any bleeding that happened. The biggest downside to this paper really is the price. It's way too expensive for how many pages you get. It's $22, I think, for the 30 pages. That is a lot. When you compare it to like the Ohuhu, which had, I think, like 156 pages for $16, there's a great difference between the two of them. And the Ohuhu sketchbook works really well on its own, and it holds up very well, and it holds colors just as great. This paper is a little bit on the fancier side, and it honestly, I could tell the difference, but the difference is minute unless you're a picky person like I am. And trust me, I am very picky when it comes to a whole different bunch of things. But otherwise, if this book is something you want to invest in because it's a fancier book, then I would suggest get it because you want your art to look as best as possible, and it would probably be great for something like if you're doing a portfolio or anything of the sort. But if you just want to have fun and do sketches and stuff like that, then something like the Ohuhu sketchbook, which is great for markers, would work just as well. So yeah, this is what I ended up coming up with for the first page, and I did really enjoy the experience of the sketchbook, and hopefully I'm going to have a lot more pages to enjoy with it as well. So thanks for watching, and remember, I love you. Bye.